Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 6 operations, political, digital, and athletic, that prove one thing: psychological warfare isn't coming, it's already here. Welcome to the Mind War Podcast, mindset in a world of chaos. Let's get started.
Hey, everybody. We're going to kick off with some world news that came out about 12 days ago in a press release from the United States Department of Justice. Press release on March the 19th. The DOJ confirmed that U.S. seized Iran's covert cyber psychological warfare network masquerading as hacktivists. So basically, the DOJ is saying this wasn't just a cybercrime bust, it was a psychological operations takedown. And Iran's Ministry of Intelligence created these fake hacktivists like Holy Souls and Darkbit to intimidate journalists and dissidents. So what they would do is they would claim that they were the ones that did this cyber attack, all to find out that it was coming from Iran.
Of course.
Pretty scary stuff that you're worried that there's this outside, dark, hidden hacker, and it's your own government.
Yeah, well, that's just classical perception warfare. You know, you claim to have all this power, like Iran did, and they don't.
Right.
So in the news, you're going to put out all this fake propaganda, and I love the word hacktivist. That's excellent.
Yeah.
You know, and then to come to find out you have nothing. I mean, by posing as rogue activists, Iran blurred the lines between state action and grassroots rebellion. Fear, in this case, becomes a currency, and they were printing it.
By as many as they could, just over and over, causing their citizens to believe something that was not even close to true.
Well, here's a little backdoor to that. Iran's Handala, I'm not even sure I'm saying it right, persona exposes state-run influenced weapons, right? So this is Handala pretended to be a grassroots hacktivist group supporting Palestine. But cybersecurity analysts traced the infrastructure back to Iranian state operators. They used doxing threats and wartime propaganda to destabilize Israel's morale. Now, this is something we referenced from Operations Disguised as Cyber Operations Report from March 25th, 2026. Okay, so I mean, this has all been backed up and verified.
This happened 5 days ago that this report came out. When you ask us why we do our podcast, what our podcast is about, this is it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
This is a group that tries to get followers by, we're grassroots, we're going to change the world. And it's not.
They're probably getting paid by the back door. It's no different than all of our Antifa and all that garbage. They're getting paid.
The paid
protesters.
paid
bad actors, whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
Protesters. It's just paid activists now.
Yeah. This right here, it wasn't hacking. This was emotional engineering.
Yeah.
This is when the state can hide behind a mask, every message feels organic because, well, it came from the government.
It came from that place. I mean, it must be grassroots. It must be true.
That's right.
And people are so damn gullible, they fall,
So the next headline, we're going to kind of get away from Iran for a minute. Very interesting headline. Russia's cavalry werewolf espionage breach quietly undermines internal trust. This breach wasn't loud, it was surgical. And that is a fear that goes to a completely different level. Attackers are using phishing, credential harvesting, and covert C2 channels to infiltrate a Russian state-owned enterprise. Employees began suspecting one another. And now internal trust is completely gone.
The psychological damage right here is the real payload. I mean, if you think about it, you can't even trust your own system, you can't even trust your own people. I mean, paranoia becomes the infection and it spreads rather faster than malware, if there's such a thing.
And for those of you in cybersecurity and have a pulse on what's going on, malware hits you once and it's across the globe that quick.
Everything's AI driven. I mean, a lot of this AI driven garbage. Just to give an example, there was an AI driven that was a campaign influence. It influenced Hungary's 2026 election. We are the only country that has election problems, right? We like to paint the picture.
Right.
AI-generated TikTok videos flooded Hungarian voters with emotional content. The goal wasn't persuasion, it was overload. When people are overwhelmed, they stop thinking critically. And this is very true. Right, this again was referenced on Weekly Review, March 26th. Okay, so we go out and we reference these things, don't just make this stuff up. Okay? So the newest battleground, this is the new the battlefield: speed, volume, emotion. You don't need to change minds, just exhaust them. Confusion becomes the weapon.
We see that here in the US. They're reporting this because it just happened in Hungary. Like you said, it came out this month in the report. But my fear is that we're coming up on midterm elections here in the US. 2 years later, the race is going to be interesting. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. How do we know that AI is not going to influence?
We don't. But I can guarantee.
Right. I mean, it's sad that it's to that point, but it's kind of true. So the next story, we're switching gears. We're going to go into little sports debate here between Grandmaster and I. The headline reads, "The NIL money that never arrives. Athletes trapped in image-based psychological pressure." Athletes sign deals that sometimes never pay out. They get siphoned by agents, middlemen, a bad collective, whatever. But the athletes are forced to maintain this fake lifestyle because they want an opportunity to get a shoe deal or a shirt deal. So if they make a big fuss about this deal, the big companies aren't coming around. So their whole survival has now become silence.
Well, it's just typical identity warfare. They're attacking who you are, not what you do. Okay? When your image becomes your prison, the system owns you. NIL didn't free athletes, it exposed them.
In a bad way. Now, while researching this, there was a expansion on this story about you're just signing these checks away to 17-year-old kids, and the ones that do actually receive their money go out and blow it. And shouldn't we have some financial education?
Yes.
But I gotta pump the brakes. Where are the parents / mentors? I get that a lot of these kids may not come from money. However, they didn't get there by themselves. There's an uncle, there's a cousin, there's a family friend that was with them step by step along the way.
Okay, but so tell me what's the difference in the NFL? NFL, they have salary caps. They have people that mentor their people when they get the money. Okay, give you an example of Len Bias back in the 80s or whatever it was. Basketball great, signed to the Boston Celtics. Never did a day of drugs his entire life. Signed a multi-million-dollar deal. Didn't have anybody there to protect him. He snorted coke and died in the car. Okay, so baloney with the bull crap that you're coming up with about, well, what are all the people? Let's blame the parents. No, let's blame the institution of the NIL. You shouldn't be handing money to these kids that don't know a damn thing to do with it, and then they have to pretend like they have it to keep the lie alive, so they can get other offers to go to play somewhere else. And on top of all that, they're playing 8 and 9 years. They have no desire to graduate, no desire to go pro.
Well, why would you when you're getting paid $6 million in college? If you go pro NFL, you're taking a massive pay cut, because I think that rookie contracts are like $3 million or maybe
If
$5 million.
that.
Let's just say $5 million.
I don't even think they're that high. If you're just a player on the team, right? It's 250 to 500,000.
Right.
I mean, you get the low end of the deal, but I mean, the name and image likeness. I mean, everybody's getting those. So it isn't just like it's one player. And I believe the name and image likeness should go by, if you're selling jerseys number 15. Let's just give an example. 15 for the Florida Gators is who?
Continue.
Right, and we're not Gator fans, but we know this. He made 15 Florida Gators popular.
Right.
So if you see a 15 jersey somewhere, that's Tebow. Well, then that should be how you get paid. All right? Not name, image, likeness, bull crap that, you're switching teams because the teams are paying you more money. Well, then that's because now you got players that ain't playing the whole season, like Dylan Raiola at Nebraska. I'm glad he's gone, man. He was more of a distraction than he was a help to the team. I don't say that he wasn't a good quarterback, but he wasn't the best in the damn country. So, I mean, I think there's two sides to every coin, but the coin on the NIL is a very distasteful coincide to me. I'm just not a fan.
And I'm not disagreeing that point at all. Something has to be done with NIL. I
Agreed.
I sat in a room with a high school recruit at a university, and I heard the head coach say, "You kids are the luckiest kids on the planet, because right now the NIL is just the wild, wild west."
Yep.
And that's very true.
Very true.
They have to put some kind of regulation on
It's
this.
going to ruin college sports.
Well, it already has. The increase in betting, the increase in player influence. I mean, we talked about scandals and match fixing yesterday, right?
Yeah.
It's this money right now is on a collision course to have the exact same thing happen, because now you've got Jim Jones, who has $500,000 to his name, and he's going to bet on the national champion Alabama Crimson Tide. He's got to make sure that they win.
Match fixing comes into play. But you made a point about players, right? Which leads us into our next little news section here. Of course, you're not going to hear this. The star who never plays. It's considered load management and psychological manipulation of fans. Okay, so this is going to happen this summer or pre-summer, when they have all these World Cup teams come and play, or these national teams or clubs, whatever. They're not going to be playing their star players. You're going to pay all this money to go watch this team and see second stringers, which I'm not saying anything bad about second stringers, but the teams market the games around stars they know won't play. The NBA is big on this, right? Fans pay for a moment that never comes. This is an information control disguised as player safety. So what they're saying is that, this player's not going to play right now because they're tired. Mm-hmm. They've been playing a lot of games. I don't care. I went to watch whatever team play because I want to see whatever player play. I don't want to see him warming up and then in a suit on the sidelines.
Right.
What kind of
Or
bull crap?
not even warming up. Just showing up, sitting behind the bench in street clothes, eating popcorn and cutting up with his significant other.
Well, you can look at this, go back to 2023, 2026 archives of the NBA, and you'll see a lot of load management where the fans are like really just disgruntled with the NBA, for example. But that's why I won't go to these NBA games, NFL games. I mean, look at the NFL, for example, not to dog out the NFL or nothing, but if a season's already ended for a team or they're already in the playoffs, they rest a lot of players. College is the same way. Guy's going to go to the combine, he's not playing. But the on the NIL deal.
Right.
What is that? So we can't have that, right? So I think, the money should come at the end of your contract. If you're at the end of your contract, you've fulfilled all your requirements, you get paid.
Sure.
Right? A little bit of money up front, a little bit of money at the end of your contract, maybe during it. Talking about the end, and professional players.
Right.
But NIL players, no, at the end of your time, you don't go to a college for a year, get $6 million, and then when the season's over, you leave. No, I'm not playing that. You should sign a contract, whatever. But again, the NBA is known for what they call load management. In other words, the player's safety. The player's not injured, nothing. Just they're resting the player for the future. And the quote was, do you want to have healthy players in January or whenever the tournament is, or in June, whatever? Or do you prefer to have them in January? I prefer to have the player there when I'm going to watch the game.
Right. And this is emotional exploitation, selling hope with no intention of delivering it. It's like us as fans aren't customers. All we are is revenue stream, So the deception is the business model. We're going to sell out this Argentina against Portugal international friendly here in Orlando because players are going to come to see Ronaldo and Messi play. But it's an international friendly, so Ronaldo and Messi are not going to play, especially 2 months.
Messi's not in Brazil. He's in Argentina.
That's what I said. Argentina, Portugal.
I don't listen to half things you say anyway. But that's another class of warfare. But listen, just so what we're doing right here. See how this thing goes, this mind war? We ended it on a sporting event. I bet you can't remember what we talked about at the very beginning of this podcast. That's mind war.
Right.
Mind war at its finest. We started off talking about something very bad, about something in Europe, right? Something happening across the country, across the world, whatever. But you remember this last part about the sporting event. And the problem with a lot of cultures and a lot of people, they'll remember the sports stuff before they remember the real world stuff that we were talking about at the very beginning of this whole podcast.
When the U.S. seized the cyber warfare network from Iran.
Yeah, the DOJ put out some stuff. We forgot all about that already, and we haven't been 20 minutes into the podcast. But that's how news goes.
That's why psychological warfare is just as much happening in sports, because sports drives America's or really the world.
Yeah.
It drives us.
I think it's a way they use sports as a way to get out of reality. Mm-hmm. And sports is nothing but an AI thing, in my opinion. They already know who's going to win a lot of the games. They already know who's, I think it's all set up. But I mean, again, that's just conspiracy theory, but we're not a conspiracy group. But I just think a lot of it's bull crap designed to get our minds off of what's really happening, to make us look over here. And then, like I'm telling you, most of you are going to be talking about, I can't believe they're the NIL deal. I can't believe they're going to have teams coming from other countries to play, but they're not going to play their superstars. Let's forget about what the DOJ put out. Let's forget what they're trying to hide about cybersecurity and all these things. Let's forget about all that.
Right.
Because they don't want you to see all that. That's not what's on the news. And again, I watched the whole thing of news yesterday on different channels. Not one story on Savannah Guthrie's mom. Not one. But they did say she's going to be back on the Today Show.
Right.
Whoopie-woo.
Right.
Whoop-de-woo. But what about her mom? I mean, this is all bait and switch. So this is why the mind war is important. The Mind War podcast is important, and I come out here and listen to what we're talking about. If you don't hear a story if you hear a story that we haven't talked about, and it's on the news, let us give it to us. Let us talk about it.
Right.
We'll give you the credit for finding it and then telling us to talk about it, search about it, because we research everything. Like I said, we go out, we double check, fact check. I wouldn't say fact check; that's a liberal thing, and I'm not either a liberal or conservative. I don't play that game, but I don't want to use that term. We go out and we ensure that the research that we're looking at is real, the information we're getting it from is credible, and that's how we do it. So I would not say that we fact checked.
Right.
But
so on that note, we've come to our closing time. Another great time with you. Love debating. Love these stories. I'm enjoying researching and finding.
It's like this is neat. This is what they used to do as reporters.
That's why they were called journalists.
Yes, not now. They just read whatever comes down their screen. Yeah, we're holding papers, but I mean they're reading what's coming down their screen because someone's inputting what they're supposed to read. And what the worst part is, I will never sit here on a podcast and go along with a story I do not agree with. Because I don't agree with the NIL deal. Right? You don't agree. And that's okay not to agree. It's okay. But we're not going to argue about it. I mean, we're going to have conversations. Sometimes they get heated, but it's like, it's okay.
Right.
Because you're okay to have an opinion. But I'm not going to just tell you and go along with my best friend. Oh, yeah, I agree with you just because someone told us we have to. If our podcast is not successful because we do things that are dark web stuff or stuff that's not on the news, oh well. For those few people that listen to it and watch it, you're on the ball, right?
Yeah.
But I just can't read a script to you that's been formatted by my superiors for their narrative because they're getting paid money on the side or through the back door. That's not us. No, It's all on our dime, and we're doing this on our time. So
that's right.
We're trying to bring you news that serves a purpose, that's going to give you some kind of awareness and kind of get your mind, involved into the mind war.
Sure. Behind every headline is a hand you never see. Behind every decision is a motive you never hear. And behind every system is someone who benefits from your confusion. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
Always remember to be kind.